There's a near ubiquitous presence of boomer shooters now, with probably more retro throwback FPSs released every year than the entire genre across the 90s. Ironically, they've become the norm for what a shooter is. This led to my high hopes for the upcoming Fortune's Run, a fascinating agglomeration of various immersive sims, shooters, and stealth games infused with a grungy, dark future dystopian setting. It's clearly a labour of love, going well beyond a Unity-based Doom or Duke lookalike, feeling surprisingly contemporary due to its excellent presentation and content richness. At the same time, I think a lot of new players will misunderstand the game, expecting another boomer shooter, not difficult, fast-paced action with a high degree of playstyles and mechanics. The demo available is just a training zone and one of the mid-game levels in a nightclub set up on a worn-out industrial station of New Zebra, where you play as former rebel and convict Mozart, looking for work and making up for possibly committing war crimes. There's clearly a whole bunch of stuff going on, local and regional politics, various factions conspiring with and against you, and old-time friends. It's unclear if this will be a series of linear missions or if you can pick allegiances. As it is now, you're on your own. The demo doesn't define the setting as well as I'd like. You're picking up after completing a mission before you're suddenly interrupted by an assassin and a military raid. You then spend the next hour or so escaping the club, fighting a couple bosses before a decent cliffhanger. If there's one thing you'll take away first from Fortune's Run, it's the impeccable presentation. It's rare to see this quality of sprite work. All the characters are uniquely designed with an almost claymation-like texture in their models. I haven't seen anything quite like it. In addition, there's proper scripted set pieces and cutscenes that look pretty dope. The environments are packed with miscellaneous items and artwork, either highlighting the corporate grip on society or scuffed memes. The audio is of special note. There's a lot of very crispy sound effects like weapon blasts and when consuming an item. The music is like a mixture of hyperactive schizo techno and electronica trap, that for whatever reason, the current demo is primarily limited to a couple tracks. Heads up, it's all really good. Even the quick loading has a slick rewind like it's Katana Zero. Assumingly, this will be a very narrative-rich game. The dialogue is either voice acted by some notable talent or has an alien lingo, with an almost western kind of writing. It's more Cowboy Bebop and Fly than Deus Ex or Blade Runner. I think this works in familiarizing the player better, but it's another instance of subverted expectations. I came in for nihilistic schizo dialogue, not evasive, cynical, speakeasy banter. Right now, I can't comment too much on the story. It seems nice, a bit unsurprising. Hopefully it blossoms into a worthwhile story. On the surface level, Fortune's Run merges the fast-paced controls and gameplay of Shadow Warrior and the inventory management of System Shock and Deus Ex. Moza is very agile, able to wall jump and leap great distances. There's a large assortment of weapons and gear you pick up from exploring the map. Initially, you've got a katana, then pistols, knives, assault rifles, shotguns, snipers, SMGs, and rocket launchers. The devs have taken note from Bungie's rulebook and put a lot of effort into making them functional and having alternate fire modes, like scopes or dual wielding. Furthermore, they're satisfying to use with great particle and sound effects. There's actually a deep melee system of kicks, punches, blocks, and combos that staggers enemies, lowering their defense and provides a non-lethal option in combat. Besides a rapid beatdown and tasering, I hope they add more melee weapons because it's already very fun dropping down on an enemy with a sword, neutralizing any fall damage, and start firing away. After the weapons, there's a bunch of support items including flash bombs, grenades, tasers, NVs, and cigarettes. Traversing the environment will net you ample opportunities to try them out, but you have to go out of your way to use them. I rarely found the flash grenades helpful, and the NVs are only necessary if you keep the contrast low. In conjunction with Moza's versatility and arsenal, you can seriously rip and tear through enemies, deflecting bullets with your sword, diving into cover, and dual-wielding pistols into every room, made better with a temporary slow-mo ability. However, although Moza has all these toys and can leap through the stage, the short time to kill turns her into a glass cannon of sorts. Despite most enemy attacks being projectiles that can be ducked or sidestepped, the compact environments and their aggression makes them quite formidable. The 4 difficulty modes balance this out to where it's either rip and tear or ripped and teared. Not sure about the highest tier. Out of context, it's a bit... yes! Combat requires a lot more planning because under the surface, Fortune's Run is steeped in the immersive sim genre, or family. I don't know how you tag it. This means that boomer shooter enthusiasts might be burnt from this complexity and the resource management system. In addition to your health bar, which is replenished by snacks and drugs, you sustain locational injuries in your arms, legs, torso, and head, affecting your accuracy and movement. You need to find medical goods to patch up in very cool Far Cry 2-esque animations. Not only that, but your slow mobility tires out Moser, demanding a ciggy break. The whole concept of tossing grenades up a stairwell, firing off a shotgun, and then dragging out a smoke is as funny as it is satisfying. I think the UI for your inventory is functional. There's a bunch of tabs letting you know what each item does. There's no grid tiles you sort through, except by having to keep opening it up, in my opinion, interrupts the pacing. The scarcity of medkits, and to a lesser extent ammo, encourages stealth. It's very similar to Metal Gear Solid and Dishonored. Enemies have vision cones you avoid and sneak up to choke out. I think it's too easy. Knockouts are fast and alerts just attract enemies nearby, not actually spawning in backup. There's a visibility meter, but ample cover and that you can always clearly know where enemies are looking makes it entirely negligible. Nevertheless, it's another functional feature that will hopefully be fleshed out later. The black magic of the dev team runs deeper, in the surprising amount of environmental interaction, going beyond breaking power boxes and moving cranes, in light destructibility, usable keypads, computers, and that Moser can microwave a chow. Funnily enough, it reminds me a lot of Sin in how retro future everything is. Even the computers demand an old school style of entering logins and commands. High speed wall jumping and multiple pathways through the level makes map exploration a reward in its own right. There's a ton of small mechanics and subsystems like this in Fortune's Run, giving it a high yet approachable learning curve. You, yes you, will notice how bad I'm playing, leading to a mid-tier score. This improved after subsequent playthroughs once I better understood the game design. The demo already has solid replay value, so I can only imagine how the dev team are going to top this complexity in the ensuing levels. It's also this complexity that makes Fortune's Run a little bit janky and difficult. Many concepts are lightly touched upon in the tutorial, but largely left to read in the menu or figure out by pestering the devs on Discord, which isn't fun whenever you start playing a new game. Having to type in command lines again and again on computers and occasionally jumping to only fling yourself across the map gets annoying quickly. I also found that in the higher difficulty, the final boss fight was a massive bullet sponge, whose hit-scanning laser drones that clipped through the environment irritating to say the least. I'm sure these quirks will be ironed out, but I have some other suggestions. Make the frequent map terminals reveal the enemies in an area rather than it happen automatically. It gives them a lot more purpose. The in-game inventory scrolling feels clunky. Separate hotkeys for a quick health item instead of letting them clutter up the other equipment would be better. Allowing Moser to slide down walls by holding the spacebar and be able to climb up ledges would help mobility. For teaching the mechanics, either an in-depth training mode in the menu or a constantly accessible one so that players can spend time figuring out the combat or stealth when they want to. These sound like nitpicks, because they are, except after reflecting more, Fortune's Run could be more than another dime a dozen FPS and an actual classic of the ImSim and retro shooter crowd. It's clearly a passion project with loads of love and care in crafting and managing each facet. I assume it will be released chapter by chapter through early access, and considering the pace of development, the team is deeply committed on quality. Yeah, this isn't coming out for a while. The dev team has been both actively responding to feedback on Steam and the Discord, and regularly post updates showcasing new content, all of it really nice. Fortune's Run deserves more love. No matter what, this will be one of the games of all time, I think. So go and play the demo. It's free, it's a good few hours long, and packed full of top tier content that can't be said of most new major releases.